In this video, we are going to use the depth informations to color correct our image. If you didn't follow along but you like to follow this video, you can open the file v19.nk in the Nuke directory. Alright, so let's start by creating a color correct node with the C key. And I will plug that color correct node after the last merge of my main comp tree. And now let's have a look to this thing here. Well, we could use that thing as a mask. So I will plug the mask input of my color correct to the output of my shuffle node here. And now if I connect my viewer out of my color correct here, I could, for example, come here, increase the gain and the saturation, and as you can see, only the parts of the mask which are the brightest are affected by my color correct. As you can see, the sky here won't be affected because it's almost black, but the first objects here are the one which are going to be the most affected by my color correct. And this is the way I want to use my Z-Pass to grade things. Of course, in my case, I don't want to use that Z-Pass to just boost the saturation here, but we are going to be able to do other things. For example, something that we do a lot in compositing is to modify a little bit the perception of the black values according to the distance. Most of the time, if you look at images, the closest the elements are from the camera, the more contrasty they are, and as you go further away, they tend to get a little bit more washed out. So in our case here, it's not very true because we are in space, and in space there is no atmosphere, but let's pretend there is, just for the sake of using our Z-Pass here. So I will revert those controls to 0 for now. And what I want to do is to modify a little bit my Z-Pass here to just create the mask I want to modify my image. First of all, here I like to affect the further objects and not the closest one. Let's not touch to the first rocks and just adjust what is the further out from us. So I'd like the sky to be white and those elements to be black. I need to invert my mask basically. Well, I can do that by creating an invert node. So I will hit tabulation and I will type invert. And there we go. As you can see, now the values which were dark are now the bright ones, and the closest object here are darker. So that's great. Now, I'd like to modify a little bit more because I don't want to affect at all those elements. And if those elements are kind of gray, it means that they are going to be affected a little bit. So what can I do? Well, I can create a gray node after my invert, and I will do that with the G key. And now I will change the channels to RGBA to make sure that I'm actually affecting the 4 channels. And now with my black points and white points, I can adjust that thing to just select the part of the distance that I'd like to affect. For example, if I don't want to affect at all those rocks, I can just increase my black point to make sure that I won't affect those rocks. Let's go even a little bit more further. And if I want to make sure that I'm affecting the sky and the earth the same way, I could decrease a little bit my white points to just take them all together, right? Actually, I like to have a little bit of a separation between the sky and the earth, so I will just reduce the white points a teeny bit. There's something as well I want to make sure when I'm tweaking my mask here. It's easy, for example, to increase the gain and not realize that we are actually getting values over 1. For example, if I sample the sky here, I can see that I have a value over 1 of 2. So it's important when creating a mask to come to your grain node and to click on white clamp to make sure that your alpha value will never go over 1. As you can see now, I'm at 1 here. Okay, but I don't want to use the gain here, so I will just revert that knob to 1. But now let's try to use that mask with my color correct. I'm not sure that that mask is perfect, but a good way to do things is to first look at the color correction with the color correction, and then we will be able to come back here to the grain node and adjust it if we need. So now I just like to adjust a little bit the dark part of the further away elements. So for that I will come to the shadow part here, and let's increase a little bit the offset. As you can see here, I'm just affecting the objects which are further away from us. So you can do whatever you want. Usually what I'm doing is always doing a little bit of a crazy adjustments to make sure that I'm affecting the right elements. Then I can come back to my grain node and adjust a little bit my black point and white point accordingly. For example, here, well, here it's fine. So we'll close that grain node, and now I can adjust more what I want to do. So I will reduce the offset just to a teeny bit, and I'd like as well to introduce a little bit of a blue color in the dark values. So let's put a little bit of blue here. And we always tend to do too much while doing color correction for the first time here. So what I usually do is do my color correction, blink my eyes a little bit, and then come to the range here, and to go to the mix attribute of the node, and to be able to just remove what I've done, put it full, and try an intermediate values just to see what is right. Okay, for example, I think this is quite right. And then of course you select your node and do the D key to disable and enable to toggle on and off to see how it looks like. All right, well, I think it's good. Maybe a little less. I will put it at, point. Yeah, it's a little bit better. It's just a teeny bit, but that could help, especially if you had atmosphere. Here in space, well, I don't know, but yeah, why not? It could be part of the art direction as well. Okay, so basically this is it. You are using your Z merge here to create that layer with all your depth paths, so that will map all the values from the object the further away to the closest one. And then with a bunch of grain node and invert if you'd like, you can create the mask you want to delimitate the objects you'd like to affect with your color correction. So this is pretty strong. All right. This is it for this video. Now, in the next video, let's see how to use the same thing to merge matte painting elements. See you there.